a stock trading under $2 just entered a sector that could become one of the most important energy markets on Earth over the next decade. And almost nobody is paying attention yet, because while most investors are busy chasing artificial intelligence stocks and tech hype, a completely different industry is quietly heating up behind the scenes: uranium. And if current global trends continue, some analysts believe uranium demand could surge dramatically over the next several years. Now, why does that matter? Because nuclear energy is suddenly becoming important again. Countries around the world are scrambling for reliable power sources as electricity demand explodes from AI data centers, electric vehicles, and industrial expansion. And unlike solar or wind, nuclear power delivers stable energy around the clock. That is why governments are beginning to invest aggressively in nuclear infrastructure again, and the company we are talking about today may be positioned directly inside that opportunity. At the time of recording, this stock is trading under $5, still cheap enough that many retail investors completely ignore it. But then something unusual started happening. Trading volume increased sharply, interest in uranium stocks began rising again, and investors started positioning themselves ahead of what some believe could become the next major energy cycle. Now here is where the story gets interesting. This company is not just exploring random mining projects hoping something works. It controls uranium-focused assets tied to regions already known for significant uranium production potential. That matters because the world cannot expand nuclear energy without uranium supply, and according to many energy analysts, future supply shortages could become a serious issue if nuclear adoption accelerates globally. That possibility alone is why investors are beginning to watch uranium companies more closely. But before I reveal the company name, you need to understand why this market suddenly matters so much. Because for years, uranium was ignored. After nuclear disasters and political pressure, many countries reduced nuclear investment. Investor interest disappeared. Uranium prices collapsed, and most mining companies struggled badly. But now the situation is changing fast. Governments are realizing renewable energy alone may not meet future electricity demand. Artificial intelligence alone is expected to require massive increases in power generation over the next decade, and nuclear energy is once again becoming part of the conversation. That shift changed everything for uranium stocks. Now suddenly investors are looking for companies positioned to benefit if uranium demand keeps climbing, and this company is starting to appear on more watch lists because of exactly that. Now let's talk about why speculative investors are interested. The company operates in a sector where commodity cycles can create enormous stock moves. Historically, uranium bull markets have produced explosive gains for small-cap mining stocks once momentum accelerates, because when uranium prices rise, investor attention floods into the sector very quickly, and low-priced uranium stocks can move aggressively in short periods. That possibility is exactly what traders are watching right now. Now obviously this is still speculative, very speculative. Commodity markets are unpredictable, mining projects involve risk, regulatory approvals matter, and small-cap energy companies can experience extreme volatility. This stock could move higher rapidly or fall just as fast. That risk is real, but many aggressive investors are focused on the bigger picture. What happens if global nuclear expansion continues accelerating? What happens if uranium demand outpaces supply? And what happens if governments continue pushing long-term nuclear investment? Those are the questions driving speculative interest into the uranium sector today. Now here is another important detail. This company has continued advancing development projects while maintaining strong positioning inside a sector, gaining renewed political and institutional support. That matters because institutional money often moves slowly at first, then aggressively once momentum builds. And if uranium becomes one of the dominant energy themes of the next decade, some of these low-price stocks may not remain cheap forever. Now let's talk momentum, because momentum changes everything in penny stocks. Once volume spikes, once social media attention increases, and once energy traders start rotating into the sector, price action can become extremely explosive. Historically, commodity cycles create some of the fastest moving stocks in the market, and uranium stocks have already shown signs of renewed investor attention recently. Now finally, what is the company we've been talking about this entire time? The stock is DNN, Denison Mines Corp, a uranium-focused energy company positioned inside the growing global nuclear energy conversation. And suddenly, investors are beginning to pay attention again. At current prices, the stock remains deeply speculative. But the combination of rising uranium interest, future nuclear demand, and increasing global energy needs is exactly why traders are watching this company closely right now. Will uranium become one of the biggest energy stories of the decade? Nobody knows for certain, but one thing is clear: If nuclear energy continues making a comeback globally, companies connected to uranium production could benefit in ways many investors still underestimate today. And sometimes, the biggest opportunities appear in sectors the market ignored for years before momentum finally returned. So now I want to hear from you. Do you believe uranium stocks still have massive upside ahead? Or is nuclear energy too controversial long-term? Comment below and let me know. And if you enjoy discovering hidden stocks before mainstream investors fully catch on, subscribe right now because the next stock we cover could already be setting up for another major move. This video is for educational purposes only and not financial advice.